Since the Yankee come to Trinidad, they got all the young girls going mad. Young girls say they treat 'em nice, make Trinidad like paradise. Drink 'em rum and Coca-Cola, go down Point Cumana, both mother and daughter, working for the Yankee dollar.
Hi, guy. Week 5, man. And here we are. Rants, Rouges, Season 2. 3-1 with our best bets. 8-10 on the season. We're almost breaking even with our show record here. We're only half a unit behind on our bets. Last week was a decent 2-3. Two of 3 win.
And
if you
the
bet
prop.
Yeah, if you bet the prop, you got the extra bonus there. So on a bit of a redemption tour, I guess. I know the best bet was a little bit shaky, and we'll talk about that.
I'll take a best bet loss when everything else wins. Like the other 3 cashed.
Precisely.
That's fine. Yeah,
and
even put a little bit more on the best bet, it doesn't matter. Like unless you put like a lot more, but
no,
I just put a little bit more. Yeah.
And
this I didn't even put a little more because they were like I wasn't sold on it. The best bet probably should have been Hamilton, but I didn't want to do it. Like I feel like was it my tie cap bias getting in the way? And
maybe a bit. You know what? I'll say this: I went into week 4 thinking, okay, maybe BC isn't as bad. They had a decent win against Edmonton. Okay, they got beat up a bit against Winnipeg. My God, if the Elks don't have a W in the win column this week, I'm gonna go on cap.
The Elks don't play BC.
No. But what I'm gonna say is, I think BC might be the worst team in the CFL right now. Just what I've seen.
I think
great.
I don't know about that. I think that's a stretch. I think Masoli is just. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on there. It's. I don't know. I don't know if you blame Masoli or do you blame the head coach? Because going into the season, I thought I wasn't sold on Buck Pierce. Look, the Winnipeg offense looks better now.
Bad hire.
Yeah, I don't think he's the right guy. I mean, okay, Masoli wasn't good. He was awful. He turned the ball over too many times. He was the reason they lost. Like they were going to go up. They were going to take a lead into the half, the Lions, and he throws a pick six. Like you can't do that, especially in a game like that where it was tight. Where we thought it was going to be tight. Good thing I didn't bet the under because I think it went over because of all the picks. Or was it 37-18? Yeah, it did go over. So first half under would have cashed. But actually, I don't know if it would have cashed because it fucking pick 6.
No, the pick 6 killed all the unders. Both first.
I have to check what the number was. Anyway, it landed close to the number, but it should have been an easy first half under. But yeah, it was awful. And they should have put Bryson way earlier. Like you could tell Masoli didn't know what was going on.
Thank you.
I said last week on the show. I said I think I would like BC more if it was Bryce because Masoli didn't look great. But I said it's Winnipeg. They own BC. This is Saskatchewan. But Saskatchewan at home. It was a little bit of a stretch. It wasn't the best bet.
No. It wasn't. I'll say this. I agree with the Bryce requirement. I think he should have came in once Masoli. I don't think he should have started. Masoli shouldn't have started second half. You don't finish the first half with that performance and then you follow it up. Listen, we're gonna rant here on BC and backup QBs because backup QBs have played the majority of games in the CFL so far this season, and time these backup QBs. When we started the season, we looked at that roster, we looked at QB1, QB2, and we figured, oh, actually, this season looks like we have a solid set of backup experience. There's a lot of vets, except for Calgary. And here we are talking about it. We started week 5, and these backups are absolutely atrocious. We've had already.
Well, not all of them.
Oh, come on. Arbuckle's had 2 horrible games. Masoli
Yeah, but
has
what
been
about
terrible
Strebler?
every time
Strebler
he's
was
been.
great.
Okay, yes, but Streffler could be a QB1 on
Fajardo's been
BC
good
right now.
too. Fajardo's been good. Oh, yeah, Fajardo's a QB1 too. This is like, yeah.
Fajardo should be. Okay, Ford aside, I know we're playing him for the ratio. We're playing him because we also said we're going to back him up and finally play him. But I think in that game too, maybe Fajardo plays it a bit better towards the end.
You got to roll with Ford as long as he's getting better, as long as he's he looks, it's not his fault. The defense is horrid. Like you saw your stat this week, all your stats this week out to the bottom of the league in the defensive categories.
In a bunch of things, they're just not. Oh, it's a tough game. It's a tough game. I think outside of maybe 3 teams, and you know what? No, not 3, 2 teams. Winnipeg has been very solid, and I'll say Montreal is still very solid despite
Well,
Bethel
Saskatchewan
Thompson.
too.
Saskatchewan. Okay, who has Saskatchewan played? Tell me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Hamilton, Toronto, Ottawa, BC.
And a Masoli,
all of
BC.
them have one win
Thank you.
each.
Thank you. What did they start last year? 5-0. What did they end up doing after that 5-0? They ended up.
They have been strong starters. So
now
for a while now, yeah.
Yeah. So. To be fair, yes, they should continue to get better, but they are still very penalty ridden. The only difference between them and Ottawa is that they get other teams, that the teams they face, to take penalties with them somehow, some way.
No,
get in their way.
The difference between them and Ottawa is they have a secondary, and Ottawa doesn't.
Yeah.
But yeah. That's a major difference. Also, they have Jamarcus Hardrick, and Ottawa doesn't, and he's very good.
That's right. Although we did have Hardrick get hurt that game
again. Oh my God! When did this happen?
He got knocked down in the 3rd quarter or something like that against Saskatchewan for a bit.
I didn't look into Saskatchewan's injuries because they don't play this week, and I didn't really watch much of that game after the second Masoli pick. So.
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest. Yeah. Anyways, let's jump into this week. Let's start with first before we get ahead. If you guys are watching the Jays Yankees series, what a fucking series it's been. What a fucking series. This team is hustling and bustling. I hope people are watching across this country because Jays are in first place. And if you ain't watching the CFL, at least you can be boosting the baseball ratings. Sportsnet knows that. They don't talk about the CFL, so why not give them a little bit of love? All right, let's talk about an event that is happening tomorrow. First of its kind, the Stampede Bowl is coming. The Stampede Bowl. I ain't gonna wear the hat, but I got the hat. The Stampede Bowl is on its way to Calgary. First time they're branding this game that gets played during the Stampede Festival. They worked hard with CFL to promote it. I get it. Calgary's been a bit in the dumps with its fan audience the last few years, despite its success over the 2010s. It hasn't been able to fill their stadium the same way they used to. Stadium is obviously a big fault to that. It needs a bit of a rework and stuff. I'm not going to rant about stadium logistics and all that, but hey, McMahon is a little old. The Stampeders are in a bit of a rebuild, maybe faster than we think. It is the CFL. You can rebuild after a year, realistically. But here they go. They have this premier event. Unfortunately, they choose the Bombers to be the first team they face, or maybe they didn't choose, but they were given. And the Bombers look pretty unbeatable today, in today's time. Look pretty strong against Edmonton. Obviously, they had the 2 wins against BC. Here we are. Game's opening at 3.5. Obviously, the favor is towards Winnipeg. Total at 50.5. What's your thoughts here, Pieguy? Do you think Calgary is going to want to play this game because they want to be the first recipients of this trophy that they've spent decent coin on? It looks nice and flashy, nice and red. I won't go into the details how it looks like they have an E on the side of the trophy. Who knows? Maybe so Edmonton can win it in the future. With that being said, Stampede Bulls kicking off week 5. What's your thoughts on this game?
Well, in terms of your question, Moncrief said to them it's just another game. He said the trophy's for the fans, but they're going to be locked in. So, not the greatest, that they're going to go all out for this trophy. There's a trophy. I don't know if you mentioned that, but they're going to go out for the Stampede Bowl win. But when you look at the situation 100% favors Calgary here. You have the Stampede going on. So, okay, you might have some more Bomber fans because there's people coming in from out of town for this stuff. But, it's going to be probably a pretty good crowd at McMahon. Yeah. So they're coming off that loss to the Ottawa. And whatever you want to take away from that game, you can put it in your hand and chuck it down the street. Okay, that game was played in the awful weather, and Calgary got hosed a little bit on some of those pass interference calls that weren't called. Whereas Toronto got the calls last week and beat Ottawa fairly. I mean, it wasn't easy, but convincingly. So, the weather really played into Ottawa's strengths, I thought, because Ottawa's strength is the defensive line, and they can run the football a little bit. And they had Dustin Crumbs. You have the read option there. So, whereas Vernon Adams is more of a passing quarterback. And Calgary's run game, though it's good, they had some linebacking injuries in that game. They were kind of down a few guys, and Ottawa was able to run the football and get the one big play out of Abadoye. And in a game that's sloppy like that sometimes is the deciding factor. And it was. Yeah. But now they're coming off a bye. Dave Dickinson off a bye has been very, very good in his head coaching tenure.
Very good. Very good.
And if you listen to the quotes after the game, even Dickinson, VA, whoever, they were disappointed. They didn't get the win, but there was no they didn't play bad. In their minds, I think they're right. It was just the weather got to them, and Ottawa got the bounces. Calgary has not allowed a touchdown in the first 3 quarters of any of their games. They've only allowed on the fourth. I believe Hamilton scored 2. One was a kick return, and then a late score that was in garbage time
at that point. Yeah.
Well, no, the kick return, the game was still going, but the later, the offensive touchdown was definitely garbage time. In terms of Winnipeg, this is their 3rd game in 11 days. Brady's back. This was a split line earlier in the week that you could get a 3 with Winnipeg if you wanted it. But with Brady being back, it's going to be 3.5. I was with injury reports. I thought he might come back, but I don't know if it moves it to 4. And there were 3.5s available. So if you wanted to lock in at 3.5, just in case you get announced out, I don't blame you. Now they were outgained on the ground in that game by Edmonton. Edmonton had 5.5 yards per rush compared to Winnipeg's 4.7. But I mean, Edmonton's secondary was gashed, and Caleros did a number of them after struggling the week before a little bit against BC. So, yeah, it's an older quarterback, 3rd game, 11 days. Calgary's coming off a bye. My run game notes don't matter because Brady's back. But, Edmonton took it to them a little bit. That wasn't a nothing game. So,
no, it wasn't.
The BC game was more of a nothing game than the Edmonton one. So, I know going into the season, I was pretty bullish on the Calgary win total under. Now, the thing with these win total bets, you can make them, is that when you see that you're wrong early in the season, you can make adjustments because that means not only were you wrong, the market was wrong because they had them listed as 6.5 here.
Yeah.
And I think I was wrong. And I think Calgary is actually kind of good. I think Vernon Adams is good. They're not great. They're not Winnipeg. They're not Saskatchewan. They're not Montreal. But this might be a middle of the road team here, and you're getting 3.5 at home off a bye against 3-0 team.
Sounds like they're saving Dave Dickinson's job.
Calgary plus 3.5.
Yeah,
I
was
bet
just
it.
I
I
3.
3.5. 3.5.
3.5?
I got 3.5. Yeah, I got 3.5. There was 3.5 available before the Brady news. So I said, okay, I'm just gonna take 3.5. It gets to 4. It's not the biggest difference. 3.5, 4. 3 is the key number. Obviously, if it had gone to 4, probably would have put a little more. But I bet the Stamps plus 3.5. This was one of those games that when I went through the Calgary win total and I counted to 4, this was one of the 4 because you have Calgary coming off a bye, Winnipeg coming in 3 games in 11 days. Calgary's pretty good off a bye. And I kind of felt like a little bit, like when it was 3-0, this could be a little bit of a letdown. Now, I know the Stampede Bowl kind of changes that, so I don't think it's going to be letdown. Brady's back. So that does concern me a little bit. But I think Calgary's going to be able to run the football here. I think they're going to be able to run the football. I mean, they're going to be able to score for score. This could be a pretty good game. But I do worry that Winnipeg with Brady back and Calgary's injuries at linebacker, Winnipeg's going to be able to run the football a little bit too. So, it's not but I think 3.5. The situation's enough here. I was hoping Brady would come back next week. Maybe he wants his Stampede trophy.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, so 1 unit Calgary plus 3.5. I'll take my chances with the Stamps here. Hopefully they lose by 3 or something, and we save the win total remains alive. But we cash a bet. But I think Calgary might be half decent here, and we're gonna see. We're gonna see.
I'm in agreement. I'm the more I'm watching the Stampeders this season, the more I'm thinking a lot of their woes last year just came down to Dave Dickinson not having the right QB. I mean, we saw what he did.
It's night and day.
Let's just be honest. Vernon Adams is almost a copycat Bo in that sense, with a bit more legs. And we said it here. As long as Vernon doesn't go down, this team will be competitive.
They'll be okay.
Yeah. And they've shown that so far. And we slacked on Damon Webb to start the season. He's proven us wrong.
He was what I've realized this season watching. I know Ottawa's numbers that they say they're better than him. I realized watching the season that he was the one good player in Ottawa. Now they just have all junk. And the one safety who came in against Calgary, he held on that play, and maybe Calgary should be 3-0 here, or at least that game should have went to overtime. But yeah, I think Calgary maybe knew what they were doing. Maybe Dave Dickinson hasn't lost his fastball. We'll see. The linebacker, I know that they signed Big Hill. He's not going to play, but maybe he'll be on the sidelines, coaching up the guys. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that signing has to do with a lot of things. One, it lets you know a little bit of that Winnipeg playbook. 2, it's always good to have that veteran presence. I don't think Big Hill wanted to finish his career the way Winnipeg kind of just said, "Hey, you're done." Bye. So I do think he wants to at least come into his own means of like, am I good enough? If he can't crack this Stampeders roster, then it's a good indication that he's not good enough.
Well, I think he's still hurt, is what I heard.
He's not he does. He's not at perfect percentage, but if he does come in and this Calgary team is somewhat in that playoff position, which looks like they have no reason not to at this point, then hey, man, it's a good addition. But I do want to touch on your running bit here, and I want to ask if you think Winnipeg's just going to go, and I'll quote here Jacob Fatu from the WWE. Are they just going to tell Brady, "Hey, man, all gas, no brakes," or are they going to tell him to slow down?
He's coming off injury. I don't know how much they're going to run him. We might see the other guys. We will probably see the other guys. I think we're going to see a split backfield here. Why would you you're 3-0? You don't want to further his injury, so he's probably okay.
The only thing I'll say is if you dress 2 Canadian running backs, is that really what you want to do?
Well, why? What's the problem?
I'm just wondering if they think they would rather spend the Canadian allocation somewhere else.
No, you can have as many Canadian players as you want. It's the American that you have to allocate.
No, I know, but it takes away from an American spot. But I guess in this case, your two running backs are pretty much your 1A, 1B anyways. So it's not like
Yeah, why wouldn't they not play? They let them play whoever they want later.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't.
Yeah. I suppose it also allows Wilson to get into the lineup.
They might have 3 running backs in this game. I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah. I'm not sure if they've already actually shown the depth.
No, it's probably already out. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, and you also said Calgary running. I'm taking a look here at the props, and Mills here on Sport Interactions at 55.5 for props. Do you think that's attainable? Do you think that's close? You
Oh yeah,
fine with that?
the props were out yesterday because we didn't know if Brady was in. So they were a little slow getting out, but they're out today. I saw this just before we went on. I will be betting that 55.5 over for Dedrick Mills. I think Edmonton was able to run.
Yeah.
Well, Calgary should be able to run. And then for the Stampede Bowl, I'm not a parlay guy, but it's the Stampede Bowl.
Hey, man,
and if you want a little same game parlay, we mentioned Calgary being able to hold the opponent off the score sheet. We mentioned we think it's going to be a lot of running of the football. I know I haven't bet too many unders lately but what I do like, I think if you want to do a fun same game parlay for a little bit, the Stamps plus 3.5, the under first half 25.5. We're just stick to the first half because of the Calgary trend. Plus, we've seen these fourth quarters explode the last few weeks. So
yes, they have.
Stick to the first half, and then Dedrick Mills over 55.5 rush yards. This is my same game parlay for the Stampede Bowl. Yeehaw!
Yeehaw! The Cowboy Keith average Joe bet,
Yeah,
Actually,
I mean, it's not really. Average Joe would say Winnipeg money line and Brady over, and this is a little more. We're thinking here a little bit.
Yeah,
but he did get me on that first half under. I did like that when he mentioned that. So I'll give credit to Cowboy Keith there. I heard that. So I could see this being a first half under. Why not?
Yeah. Let's talk about the game that follows the Stampede Bowl, because this one is going to be a little dicey. Here we go. It's Hamilton coming into BMO Field. We teased the Hamilton sweep at the beginning of the season. They did it last year. Now, granted, they had 2 games in Hamilton, 1 game in Toronto. BMO Field is a little harder for Ticats to play, but we got an Argos team that is, I don't know, how do I put it? I'll talk here for a bit. The Argos team, to me, is a bit conflicted. They did what they were supposed to do last week in beating Ottawa, and it took all they could do to beat them because they had to hold them on before any kind of comeback was coming. But this Argo team got yelled at, was scolded at, was told, "Hey man, I'm ready to kick you out, kick you to the curb." They definitely showed up in Ottawa. Now they got this tough game against Hamilton, and granted, Hamilton did what they needed to do too. Hamilton took care of Montreal at home.
Our boy McLeod cashes another ticket, throwing interceptions. Oh, I love him. I love him.
The best part of that game was they didn't want him to throw. They didn't want him to throw, and as soon as he did, what happened?
We'll talk about Joel in a little bit, but they ran the ball only 8 times or something. He was the leading rusher in that game. What was the game plan there?
I don't know.
And then my favorite part of that game, the Hamilton Montreal, my favorite part was when Hamilton's up big, then McLeod is out there. Oh, the complaint department's back and he's looking for interference calls, complaining to the referee. It's all he's good for. As soon as shit goes bad and he throws it in, say you gotta blame somebody else. Oh, it's the referee, then why aren't you calling that?
You know who didn't run the ball? The Argos didn't run the ball. How many yards per carry did they have that game? 2.5?
2.5 yards per carry. I have the right.
They signed another random American. They signed another. I think his name is LeBron or LeBron or something very close to LeBron. They picked up another guy who can run. I don't know. Listen, management aside, I know MLSC is is all over the place these days. Letting Marner walk for whatever. Seems like he didn't want to be here. Firing the 2 Italians on TFC, getting their money's worth. I mean, it sounds like once Rogers acquired MLSC, they just needed to pay the Jays what they needed to pay them to make them competitive. Fire Masai, get rid of all this stuff, and the Argos, no exception. They also let's not keep anyone of worth here. The Argos are out. McManus again. Obviously, we know Kelly's only coming week 7 based on
McManus. Win McManus.
Yeah, winning is out again.
Well, he was on the panel last week, so I didn't expect him back this.
Yeah, it was kind of fun to see him on the panel. To be fair, but yeah, he's
good. He was good. I enjoyed it. Still the best panel of football.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely the best cast for sure.
The NFL panels are awful.
Yeah, I know it's missing Milt for a bit, but obviously for good reasons. Well, maybe not the best reasons, but anyways, I digress. That game, Toronto played to what I think their best capability with the people they have. I'll say this: getting Grant back was a bit of an energy beast for them on the special teams. And just mainly on returns and anything. Just seeing him out there again, it looked pretty nice.
Grant was good.
This team is still, I think, a ways away from being what they were looking like as Grey Cup champs. Still a lot of names. Oh, the rookie, the Polish kid. I think he's Polish. I don't know. I can't even pronounce his name. Silka.
Vital?
Silka.
Slicka. Yeah.
Slicka, yeah. He got the 2 TDs, right? The return, the fumble return, and then the catch. And then they also had a big man TD, Ryan Hunter. Also playing some extra stuff there. I know our boy Luke Wilson tweeted, hot garbage for that game, but it's Ottawa versus Toronto. It was anticipated to be hot garbage. What game won't be hot garbage?
Exactly. If you have who's two NFL backups, Mac Jones versus who's another backup? Cooper Rush. That's not going to be exciting either. You know what I mean? Like, Cooper Rush is okay. But,
Cooper Rush is not that bad.
I mean, it's going to be like 16-10. No, you know what I mean? Like, at least get like 30 points.
Yeah, it still generated something. And Ottawa was pushing towards the end. Still another penalty-based game, but more strategic penalties, less unnecessary, and more just tactical penalties. A hold where you need a hold, a defensive interference if it makes sense, that kind of stuff. But overall, listen, they got the W, which I think is the biggest thing. You have the entire East now outside of Montreal at 1 and 2. I'm going into this game.
No, the entire East has 1 win. Hamilton's 1 and 2. The Red Blacks and the Argos 1 and 3.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Hamilton losing already on Friday.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna back the Argos. I'm gonna back the Argos out of a fan perspective because you're coming into our barn. It's gonna be a little tough, but Hamilton.
Oh, that barn is tough. Oh boy, I'm so worried.
Oh, I'll be there. You'll be there too. I'll be loud.
I'll be there too. Yeah,
you're coming to sit in my section, so you're gonna be covered.
I know. I gotta behave. I guess.
But I'll say this. I'll give credit where it's due, and Hamilton looked really good against Montreal. My biggest worry is I don't know if Hamilton can repeat the performance they had against Montreal. You tell me otherwise.
You mean okay, so here's my we can start with Hamilton. Okay, Hamilton, Bo isn't turning the ball over, right? Which is the right move. You're playing McLeod Bethel Thompson. Okay, you have to take care of the ball. Their offense, the Montreal defense is all over them for about a quarter and a half, or maybe even the whole half. It was 1-1 after the first quarter. It was tough, but they didn't. Bo didn't make the mistake. They punted away. They waited for McLeod to happen, and McLeod happened, which was the right play. the one thing that really noticed is that defense, the rookies. Remember we talked about this earlier in the season. They got some rookies, but maybe they work out. They all look really good, and I think this Hamilton defense might be really good. They held Montreal. The leading rusher was McLeod with the Thompson. We talked about that. They couldn't run the ball. They got away from it. I don't know if that was the right play, but Bo's clean. There was a receiver who had an inexcusable fumble, a younger receiver. I can't remember his name, but so he made a mistake. I'm like, oh great, here we go. But what I liked is I saw Tim White in the sidelines talking to him. Like, hey, it's okay.
Hey, it's not
I mean, you can't make that mistake. But it's gonna happen. Just don't we'll learn from it. It's that kind of thing. I really liked that. But yeah, these linebackers. Versuk, and then Hauser. This D line, these rookies,
dude,
are good from what I've seen so far.
Everyone complained about this first round pick, Versuk. Dude, this guy is fucking amazing, man.
He looks great.
This guy could give you 10 seasons. Holy shit, that's gonna be problematic. This guy,
yes. So that was the main take with the offense. We knew the offense was going to be. They took away Kenny Lawler, and we still won the game. Like Montreal said, "You're not having Lawler," and both took.
He still got the TD. He still got
the TD. Yeah, they still got the ball to him right when we needed him. Right, yeah. But Bo threw it to Tim White underneath like 9-10 times. He threw it to whoever was out. He was taking what was given. He didn't make the mistake. He was clean. The Hamilton let the game come to them. The defense was strong, and that's really like the defense, in my opinion, is starting to look really, really good. Like you think about it, okay, the Calgary game was game one. It's a bunch of rookies. Yeah, okay, you got cooked a little bit by Vernon. And Hamilton almost struggles the first game out west there. And then you have Saskatchewan, who made Edmonton, who did they play week one in Saskatchewan? Ottawa. They made that secondary look like mincemeat. Well, it was shocking. But, a new secondary, supposed to be better. And they made them look like mincemeat. They go to Hamilton, and, it was a tougher game. It was close to the fourth quarter there. And then you shut Montreal completely down the run game, the pass game with, we could say McLeod. But, people have good opinions of him. I'm not one of them. And they shut him down. So I think this defense is underrated right now, which makes it bet on. And then we go to the Argos. And here we're going to talk about this. Okay. We talked about this last week. We said, you are facing Dust. If this is Dustin Crum and your coach is threatening to cut people, you got to step up. And they stepped up. They played their tails off in that game. The defense, the special teams, and the receivers all stepped up. Ridiculous catches, the fumble returns, the block kicks.
It all worked out.
Well, there was one unit who still stunk, and it was the offensive line. They were their leading rusher was Nick Arbuckle. I know you're down running backs, but I mean, come on, running backs don't matter. I mean, Kevin Brown was good. Like all of a sudden he can't run. He didn't look like he couldn't run out there. It looked like there was no work for him to run. And now you're going to go up against this defense, and I think this is a big, big mismatch. And the line is moving. This was bigger. Now it's almost pick 'em. In a lot of spots it is pick 'em. And I agree with the move. Ottawa had more yards in that game. They had more time of possession. They held the ball for 34 minutes. They turned the ball over. Okay, we get it. The defense was playing hard. Makes sense. They had more yards per carry. Toronto did cook them through the air, but it's Ottawa, so what does that really mean? And they actually did have more yards per play. But again, it was they were making, big throws to receivers that kind of boosted their yards play, big plays downfield. But in terms, they couldn't really sustain like a long drive. It was all large plays. They were only in the red zone once, I think. So in my opinion, it was a little bit of a fluky win. Yes, they played hard for it, and they got the bounces. And then
fluky. I don't think it was that fluky. I think they earned it. They earned it.
They earned the win. But I'm saying when you have a special teams touchdown and a defensive touchdown, and the other team has the ball for 30, And this is a short week, and your defense was on the field for 34 minutes. I was worried that game. I was worried the defense was going to be gassed, and Ottawa was going to come back because I had the Argos money line.
And they did, and
Ottawa
then did look a little bit better towards the end.
So then after the game, Mr. Dinwiddie, I watched only 45 seconds of press conference. All I need to hear, our offense was pretty tough to watch. Yeah, you're right, and it was tough. And you look at the injury report; everybody's out. Everybody who was potentially out, all out. Williams, McMahon, 2 offensive linemen, Kelly, obviously, McManus, as you mentioned. So this looks like the Ticats are coming with their brand new defense, and Toronto. I don't know what they're going to do. They're not. They're going to need more special teams touchdowns to win this game, because they're not going to be able to run. So you're going to rely on Nick Arbuckle here. We know Bo isn't going to make the like. The theory is okay. We can do it again. We can get the turnovers. We can do this, but Bo is playing clean. He's right now. Well. His focus. Well. Not only he's playing well, he's not turning the ball over, and when that's your focus, right? Like, that's kind of Toronto's win condition here, in my opinion, because the offense isn't working, and you're going into this now. Okay, you might be able to get big plays, 1 or 2 here or there, but I don't know if they'll be able to capitalize and put them in the end zone. They'd probably kick you field goals. So what I like here, I like Hamilton on the money line. I like the under 52.5 for an Argos game is absurd. Okay, Hamilton could score 40 and this could stay under. There's a chance here that Toronto doesn't score at all. I know it's a CFL game and I'm worried, but I'm on the under. I'm on the first half under, and I'm on the Argos team total under. All half units, except for the Hamilton money line. That will be bigger play. And Kelly's coming back in 2 weeks, and they have a bye, and then Kelly. So that's another, last week was the step up. Your coach called you out, this, that, and the other. This week is 5-day rest, let down. And you see, if this starts off bad, Kelly's coming back. Let's pack it up. You know what I mean? There's a chance. I mean, you're going on a bye week. We'll regroup at the bye with our big name quarterback. There's a mentality, a little bit of mentality there.
I mean, maybe from the players. I don't think the coach sees that.
Not the coach. No. But I'm talking about the players. They played their ass off last week, and the defense on the field for 35 minutes.
Yeah, well, they're gonna have to do it again. They're gonna have to do it again. Okay,
because you can't run the ball.
I need Hamilton.
And Greg Bell is back for Hamilton. So running backs don't really matter. It's not the biggest thing, but the big question mark here is Reggie Stubblefield might play, and if he plays, what's Toronto doing? I don't see
where will be on the ground quite a bit. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Arbuckle.
Well, Ottawa sacked them a couple times. And remember, they got 5 sacks last week too on Crump.
They did.
It's still they were still outgained, and like I said, they played they played way above their heads, defensive special teams in that game. And now I think the regression's coming. This team is bad, right? Until the offensive line can shape up, this team just looks bad. Yeah, that was their spot. And Hamilton is starting to look better
They got the one win that they needed. I'm talking about the Argos. They got the one win they needed. Yes. When I started this conversation, in the back of my mind was, I need Hamilton to beat themselves for an Argo W. That's the only way.
Unless you're doing fumbles or block kicks, it's like
beating himself. I'm not. Yeah. And let's be honest. Legio at Demo, he had that miraculous walk-off kick last season. Listen, everything is pointing towards Hamilton. I'm surprised the numbers started this way. I'm surprised it still hasn't been flipped to Hamilton.
But this is why you have to. This is the spot to bet Hamilton.
How else can you not?
Because the numbers lie. The numbers lie because it's a young defense. They've had 3 weeks now. Now you're starting to see. this guy's good. Oh, this guy is good. Oh, Costantonis is still there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The defense is underpriced, but that's why the money's come. People are seeing this week's metrics. They're saying, "Oh, this defense did that." I know it was McLeod, but like 0 run game.
Yeah, but Arbuckle's the same as McLeod. To an extent, he does a lot.
Yes,
The only way Arbuckle generates offense.
He doesn't throw the awful interception at the worst time. That's the difference. McLeod will beat himself. But
the thing is, the Argos have to throw the ball. They don't run the ball. They have to throw the ball. So you're telling me,
and you're getting guys who don't know the playbook too. Yeah. Like your running backs this game are going to be the kid, right?
Yeah,
and Kevin Brown.
Yeah.
So how many missed assignments are you going to get on Hamilton blitzes? You know what I mean? Like the running back's going to this spells disaster for the Argos, in my opinion. I know I'm a little biased here, but I didn't expect that I was going to be so bullish. Oh, yeah. Somebody has just posted a bet slip in our group chat, and it is not on the Argos.
Don't tell me who it is. I know who it is. It's definitely him, isn't it? Oh, he bet him, didn't he? Oh, you son of a bitch. Oh, you son of a bitch. Oh, fuck it. All right, fine. Yes. On the show, we're back in the Ticats.
All right.
Stats Geek is not back in the Ticats. You'll see on all the socials, I picked Toronto. I'm sticking with my boys. Ride the wave. No pun intended. Ride the wave.
I get it. You're a fan. I rarely I'll bet against Hamilton. It's only 19 league, or I wouldn't bet against him in like a playoff game. But unless I really had an edge. I'm
ready to sink the ship against. If this was Arbuckle versus Winnipeg coming into town, I'm sinking the ship. I just think it's Hamilton. This is a rival game.
Here's the thing: if it was Winnipeg, the Winnipeg struggles. Like you can make a case for why, but you haven't beaten Hamilton in 3 tries. Like what's the case here? I don't see it. This should be Hamilton minus 3.5.
Well, yeah, I agree. And then I could have been happy with my plus 3.5 and the loss,
or at least 3. But
but no, my team here is the freaking favorite in a game that they should be the dog.
Well, because they're the champs. They're expected to turn it around. Hamilton is expected to be mediocre.
And how overpriced are they going to be week 7 when Kelly is automatically the starter?
Oh, I know they're going to be overpriced. Now they're coming off a bye though. That's a little trickier. Whereas here it's a short week for the Argos.
Yeah,
and it's this is a tie cast spot. And I'm not saying it's not there's no locks in betting. Toronto could pull one out. They could pull a rabbit out. They could have a master plan. Hamilton could, have bad shrimp or something. Hopefully, I knock on wood that it doesn't happen. But
that's on Hamilton.
Anything could happen. But this is a tight gas spot in my opinion.
Let's go QEW traffic. Come on, that's my game. That's my play.
The game plan is the traffic on the QEW. We're hoping for
Let's go.
Oh, they took the trade. Damn it.
Yeah, I know. All right. Let's move down the QEW into, or I guess the 401 rather, into another province. The Montreal Alouettes host the BC Lions in a game that we don't know who's starting. We don't know who's playing. People are taking first reps. It's almost like these guys don't even want to give the game book of who's starting. I can tell you this: it doesn't look like it's going to be Masoli. It doesn't look like. So far, the reps have been going to Rourke.
If Masoli walks onto the field as a starting quarterback, everybody in the show bet Montreal. It doesn't matter who's starting. I could be starting quarterback for them. The way he's playing right now, it's a dumpster fire.
I can't believe this man still has a job this week.
But I don't think okay. Criticism on him. He threw the ball. But the game plan, he's throwing to the far side of the field with a backup quarterback against the defense, a soft zone. It was awful. It was just dreadful decision-making by both the coach and the quarterback.
a lot
Dreadful.
of
Dreadful.
yeah, a lot of over reliance on what you think Masoli can do. That's Buck. Buck was counting on this guy to be Nathan Rourke. Nathan Rourke too. Okay. I'm starting to okay. I know he's been injured on and off since his return, but he hasn't. A lot of people love this kid based on half a season of his MOP kind of reign. He had an amazing season. This kid hasn't really shown, aside of being Canadian and obviously being what CFL wants to be the face of this league. I don't know if he's enough to elevate this team to where all of a sudden, like you look at 4-5 and you go, okay, if he plays, he covers. I don't know if he does, even if Bethel Thompson plays. And the reason being is it's not so much Nathan Rourke, it's the rest of this piss ass BC Lions team. It's just so trash, absolutely awful on the field.
I like their defense. I bet on their defense. The defense played well, but you turned the ball over, and the defense of the other team scored points. Whereas Jake Mayer said, "Okay,
Jake Mayer,
I'm gonna manage the game. I'm not gonna make ridiculous throws across the field. If we have to punt, we have to punt. I have a pretty good team around me. That should have been BC's game plan. Was that like BC should have done the Hamilton and the Saskatchewan game plan is okay. They have Jake Mayer, and at some point he's gonna get the urge to throw it deep and throw an interception. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Take the 1.5. You go up 10-9 a half. That on the road, you take that every time. You don't need to throw that the pass. A tough pass. Call a run play. Call a play that has high probability not to be turned over. I know anything can happen on any play, but I mean the plays they did call was I think Buck Pierce might be the issue here, as opposed to Masoli or whoever's calling plays.
Look, just generally, the game plan was just horrible. I agree 100%. I can't even tell you that second half how unbearable it was to watch BC. And I'm part of a couple of group chats where there's a couple of BC Lions stands, and they'll suck off Porky Boy over there if they can. But dude, they just couldn't. They couldn't put anything together. And Saskatchewan was gifting them the ball almost another 150 yards. They're just like, here you go, take all this position, all this field placement, and BC couldn't do shit with it. They couldn't do nothing with it. They couldn't run. They couldn't block. They couldn't contain. They couldn't do short yards. They couldn't even do QB sneaks that are all the rage right now. They couldn't do anything. And now that you're coming into this Montreal team, who I would say it has been better than the Rough Riders defense. This Montreal defense has been lights out. And I look at 2 games ago with Montreal when they played the Red Blacks and how that defense just tore apart the Red Blacks. And I think we're going to get a repeat here at home in Montreal. Game 2 in Montreal, their second home game on a Saturday.
It's a back-to-back roadie for BC. They went to Regina. They probably went back to BC because they had injured guys. Then you got to fly the longest flight in the CFL to Montreal from Vancouver. It's Montreal or pass. I'm not betting BC. No, Rourke, whoever. There's no way. No. If Davis Alexander walks on the field, that like Montreal could win by 20, 25, 30 here. Like it's
Bethel Thompson could get 5.
I like BC's defense, but they're unbackable right now. Especially with backups. I know Bryce might be good. I'm not touching the game right now. I would only play Montreal. The BC is. I had my fill last week. That was a winnable game, and you didn't even get close. That game was 9-7. You were in field goal range, and you poo-pooed that away. I expect to cash my win total under for the Lions. Right now, they are securely in the fade column until I see otherwise. But I'm not in love with backing Cloud Bethel Thompson laying 4.5. But we saw what he did with a good team around him in Toronto, where let the other guys carry you. You know what I mean? Now this offensive line isn't nearly as good as that. The Montreal offensive line is probably their one small Achilles heel. You know, it's not as bad as BC's. But and again, this Montreal defense is going to kill whoever's starting for BC, so they better not put Rourke out there because that offensive line ain't blocking it. You see that this line did to Hamilton. I mean, it was you know, it was. It's just why, like, do you really want to put Bryce out there? Like, maybe just let him kill Masoli another week. I mean, you know, it's BC, same problems every year. Quarterback gets hurt because you don't have a good offensive line. You have a coach who is subpar. This was not an upgrade from what I've seen so far. Maybe he figures it out, but it's a back-to-back roadie with a first-time head coach. It's not a good spot at all. Jason Moss, you know, I'm not, you know, he's a good coach. He's not a bad coach, but he's, you know, he's not great. I don't think he's in the great coach category, but he's definitely, there's the things I like about him. Buck Pierce hasn't shown me anything. The best unit on his team is the defense. He's an offensive mind, so
yeah,
I don't know what that says.
He's stretching his little thin, just because he's trying to make up for. He likes to see points on the board. He doesn't think about protecting his lead.
No, but he didn't like. If you like to see points on the board, don't throw ridiculous passes in the red zone, and it's right before the halftime. But I digress. Anyways, I have nothing on this game because I don't know who's trying a quarterback, and I don't really want to lay with McLeod. Like, you know, if you imagine, you think of this, you could lay 4.5 Montreal, which is the only thing I would do right now. And then you wake up Saturday and it's Nathan Rourke versus McLeod Bethel Thompson, and you're like, oh, great. Because we've seen Nathan Rourke, what he does with, like, he can, like, it's just like Ferdinand Adams last year, he can make magic, even with, you know, sus offensive line and sus play calling. So I don't want to be, and then, you know, McLeod Bethel Thompson can lose the game by himself. So it's just,
I mean,
yeah, easy pass.
No play here. I'm in full agreement. I'm not going to rant on McLeod. All I'm going to say is, like, books, please add the interception prop.
Oh yeah, please. We want some picks. It was McLeod Bethel Thompson. He's gonna throw a duck up there.
I just want to bet it. I'll throw 5 units, man. Just let me play.
Montreal could win this game by 28. McLeod could throw a pick. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just give it to me. But yeah, I agree. I'm in full agreement. This game, until I see more here or hear more about it, I get it Saturday. And it is a big thing on Twitter. A lot of people are trying to figure out who the fuck's starting in this game, who's not.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you.
Well, maybe, you know, if it's Rourke, maybe we get Montreal moneyline pick 'em. That's like, you know,
who knows?
Maybe I think, yeah. That's why it's like, it's just a wait, like, because I feel like if it's the best case scenario for Montreal, I'd lay, you know, 7 points, no problem with Davis against Masoli or Bryce, and then if it's best case scenario for BC, I'd probably take Montreal, pick 'em because the rest of the team is so much better.
Agreed. A game that we also don't know who's throwing the ball here, the pigskin, is this Ottawa team. And they come in Sunday, another Sunday game for them. They get a full week's rest. They are traveling. They are going to Edmonton to take on Trey Ford and the Double E's, Edmonton Football Club, whatever you want to call them. I don't know. That's still a problem. Obviously, we're not going to talk about it. We've talked about it the last 4 weeks. How they have no identity, and it seems to be ruining football in Edmonton, the city of Edmonton, Anyways, we got the Red Blacks versus the Elks on Sunday. The Elks being dogs at home, being the only winless team in the CFL, 0-3. Put up some decent, a decent fight against Winnipeg last week, at least the first 3 quarters, and then kind of faded a little bit there at the end. And then Ottawa's kind of a reverse where they struggled to do anything against Toronto, a lot of mistakes, and then Bob Dice special sort of kicked in, and they started making a little bit of magic towards the end, but not a little too late, a little behind. Not a lot of injuries on Edmonton's front, at least not reported yet. And then Ottawa's got a little bit of limiteds and DNPs across the board, but biggest one obviously being, will Drew Brown play? And if he does, do we pick the Red Blacks or do we pick the Elks if it's Crumb? It's the Crumb show again. Where are you lying?
So here's what I figured. The one quarterback who is going to play is Trey Ford. So what I have done here, we'll start with the bet then, because or one of the bets is I have bet the Edmonton team total over 25.5, because then that way, right now, because I want the good number before we get a quarterback, because who plays the quarterback for Ottawa doesn't matter in terms of. I mean, it can matter a little bit because maybe they run a little more crumb, but like I would, Edmonton's going to score here. Okay, we've seen this Ottawa defense; it's not good. It's good. It's okay against the run, but even when Edmonton was 5.5 yards per carry against Winnipeg, so they're gonna get something on the ground. They've had a good ground game since last year, and they're starting to get it going now. Okay, before I get started with Bob Dice, I just want to say I'm a very blunt person. I call things like they are. Yeah, I'm sure he's a great guy. You know what I mean? But this guy might get fired this week. And from what I heard, I watched 45 seconds. That's all I needed to hear. All I needed to hear was he said Ottawa lost that game because of turnovers and not seizing the opportunity. Not because of their hogwash secondary that was getting cooked by Nick Arbuckle and 10.7 yards per attempt. Nick Arbuckle and the receivers had against your secondary. And it's, we didn't seize our opportunities. Oh, hogwash. You turned I get it. You turned the ball over. Okay. But I mean, like, come on. Like your secondary is a problem. The offensive line, you got sacked 5 times. That's a problem. Sure. Dustin Crum was sacked 5 times. It's not seen up to it. You have issues on the offensive line because Peter Godber's still hurt, and your secondary isn't good. Okay? Yes, okay, turnovers play a role. I understand that. But there are problems in Ottawa that are fixable. It's not just, I have to drill into the head. They got to seize the opportunity. That's not what I want to hear. I want to hear we got to work on our secondary. We got to work on our protection because we got sacked, and we got to work on taking care of the ball. That's what I want. I don't want to hear about this seizing opportunity nonsense. Okay, when you allow 10.8 yards per attempt to Nick Arbuckle, that's a problem. That is a big, big, fat problem. Okay, so yes, you outgained them. Yes, I mentioned this in the penalty breakdown. 34 minutes. This, that, and the other. And you made mistakes. Okay, because guess what? Their team came out hard. And that's what Bob Dice is getting his team to come out and rah, play hard. Well, guess what? The other team came out harder and you got beat, even though you had the better squad. Because your secondary is... And another problem that he didn't mention, the penalties. Again, back to the penalties. He didn't say anything about that. No, it was opportunity, it was turnovers. No, that was Calgary 2 weeks ago. This is consistently bad secondary, penalties, and offensive line issues. That's why Drew Brown is sitting on the bench and Dustin Crum is starting, who isn't as good nearly. And yes, Crum is better than Schultz, but they have issues. The penalties, and Edmonton doesn't take penalties this season. They have a good coach. This coach says we need to grow. Exactly what Edmonton needs to do. They're growing every week. They don't take dumb penalties. The complete opposite. This is going to be a coaching mismatch, in my opinion, even though Killam's a rookie. And they're taking steps forward. They were tied with the Bombers in that game. You know what I mean? I know it was a short week, and they had a little bit of advantage there. Their kicking improved. Their offense is going, okay, their defense kind of stinks too. That's an issue. but with Edmonton, it's one step at a time. And, they allowed 334 yards that class. But here's the thing. If it's Dustin Crum, right? Okay, yeah, he can throw the ball a little bit. He has Hardy. He has Lewis. There's lots of weapons. Okay? But if it's Dustin Crum, like it feels like Edmonton's winning this game.
Yeah, I don't think Strasson is going to let Crum do his business.
Yeah, and they're getting better. They're improving on offense. Trey Ford looks better every week. They're giving him time. There's the name stuff hopefully is taking a back seat here. I'm hoping they get that stuff out of the way. And this is an opponent they can score on. And when Edmonton gets rolling, you saw what happened last week. They got off to a lead, right? They had a lead, and they looked good. Okay, Winnipeg took the lead back, but they came back a little bit too. They tied it up, and they made a few mistakes here and there, but they're still learning.
Well-coached team, yeah.
But this is week 4, and this is the opponent they know they can beat. They beat, I know they, and the last 2 games in Edmonton has scored 30 points. They lost one and they won the other, but the last 10, I think they were both Ford games. So Ford's put up 30 at home against the Red Blacks. I think he can put up 30 again. I like the Edmonton team total over 25.5, and I bet half a unit Edmonton plus 2.5 right now. When I know who the quarterback is, if it is Drew Brown, I will play over 52.5 for a full unit. If it is Dustin Crum, I will add the other half unit to probably the money line because it'll probably move. But if it is Drew Brown, I will play a full unit on the over. If it is Dustin Crum, I will move my Edmonton stake to a full play. So I will have more action. We're waiting on quarterbacks. But yeah, I think Edmonton's scoring the team total over better right now. Who cares who's playing for quarterback? That doesn't matter. Ottawa secondary is bad. Yeah. I like points. If it's Brown, if it's thing, I like Edmonton to win and get their first victory, hopefully en route to 8.
Well, I was just gonna make a note. So they got this game, and then next week they host BC before they jump back on.
And if it's not Rourke, there's another one you could win.
So I'm thinking this game. If you're an Elks fan, an Edmonton fan, and you have any aspires to have your team in the playoffs, this is the game you have to circle. Your opponents, you're the guys you're trying to catch, have beaten Ottawa. Calgary hasn't, but Saskatchewan has. You're trying to catch those 2 teams. You need to get a W here.
So here's why. Like you said, you have to catch Calgary. Calgary's the team they have to catch, and they know even though they're 0-3, right? You play them 3 times at the end of the season, so you just got to stay close. You don't got it. We got. It's more important right now to grow. They got to win this game. They have to start winning at some point. Hopefully this week, if not next week, right? If they want to make the playoffs, but it's still live because BC looks like a mess right now. The East, I don't think they're going to cross over. So you got to catch Calgary, right? So you got to catch Calgary. That's it. And you have 3 games at the end of the season. So you just got to improve and stay close enough that if you sweep them, you will at least be tied because you'll have the tiebreaker. Precisely.
I think that's how you have to look at it. But you don't want to go 0-4 in the West.
No. I think this is a winnable game. There's a reason. I'm picking right now at 71% have picked the Elks.
Yeah.
Which 70. When I saw last night, and I was like, well, I was a little worried because public dogs, which is why I have more on the team total right now. Public dogs aren't great. That's why I have team total points. They could elk it away and lose by 1 or 2. I wouldn't be shocked. That's why I'll take any points with the Elks you want in your pocket because you never know when they're going to elk away a win. So
That's true. They play this game and it freaking ends 2019 or something stupid.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that. I think we're going to see points. This is last Sunday night was a tough one to watch. I think this will be fun. We have 2 bad defenses, past defenses.
This one will be good. It's going to be a little bit of a late night game. It's 7:00, so it'll be a nice brisk 5 p.m.er in Alberta. So it'll be a decent.
If you live out there, this should be a fun game. I don't know how much the tickets are in Alberta in Edmonton. I know you guys spent a lot of money on your Stanley Cup run there. Those tickets aren't cheap. I understand. I mean, come on, good. It's nice. It's supposed to be. It's nice weather. Make your way. watch it. I know the team's 0-3, but this should be a fun game. It should be lots of points. I expect. When the Elks play, it's always a spectacle. You know what I mean? Whether it goes wonky or whether it's like a barn burner, it's always fun. So
what we want on the newspaper on Monday morning, okay, on the Edmonton Sun, is Edmonton Elks get their first dub. Not Curtis Lazar. Will he help us win the Stanley Cup? That's what we want, okay?
Oh, Curtis Lazar. They did sign Curtis. Yeah. Is it the Edmonton Sun or is it the Edmonton Gazette? It's the Edmonton Journal. Oh, there's an Edmonton Sun too.
There's Edmonton. Yeah, the Sun's
okay.
Yeah,
because I read these articles. It's the one Ottawa's Gazette. Yeah, most of them are Suns. Winnipeg Sun, Toronto Sun.
Yeah, they're all kind of like subsidiaries of it. All right, let's recap the bets here on the show, and then we have to choose our best bet on the show. Quite a full ticket here. I'm actually trying to be specific here with how I'm decoding things because I got a character limit on StreamYard. Well, yes, I use StreamYard. So first game, we're talking the Stampede Bowl. Just to recap, we got Calgary 3.5. We're playing a full unit there. We like the Mills over on yards. 55.5 is the current number we are seeing. And then the first half under at 25.5 for that game as well. So you can parlay them. You can play them single. We got those.
So the Mills I have played. I will play straight. The under 25 and up. Maybe I'll play it straight too. Why not? Just small, very small. Stampede Bowl. You gotta.
Yeah, have some fun. It's the first game,
especially if Winnipeg starts to run them over, which I'm a little worried with Brady. So you have some small bets in your back pocket.
Exactly. And listen, we all know you're out on the cottage right now. It's Canada Day week. You're just chilling by the lake, having a couple brewskis. Put the game on, pick what you want. Have some fun. Friday night we'll be at the game. We'll be following this one closely. But for the show, I'm going to be specific for the show, and I agree with the show. We got the Hamilton money line, full unit there. It's definitely the spot, especially the way the line's going. The under here at 52.5. It's a lot of points for a team in Toronto that can't seem to score unless it's based on turnovers. We got half a unit on that one. We got a half a unit on the first half under, and then we have a half a unit on the Argos total team under 26.5. Again, this is a team that struggles to score unless someone else is at the helm. The O-line
I think the first half under was also 26, and I have to check. I didn't write it down.
It was something around there. Yeah, I believe
26 and a half, 20, ish. Get the best you can because these totals have been like pay a little. Pay a little if you find 27 and a half. Pay a little juice.
Agreed. Get the extra point if you can. The BC Montreal game. Listen, until they can figure out who the heck's playing, no play from us. Forget it. If Davis Alexander's playing, lay the money on Montreal. There's no reason not to. If Rourke's playing, doesn't matter. It's still a Montreal number. Likely.
Well, I mean, but we'll see if I have we'll see how Friday night goes. If want to get involved in the Montreal BC game.
Yeah, and then
I'll try to remember to Instagram it out this time, and I'll tweet it out if I can make the bets.
And then to close the week, we got the Ottawa Edmonton game. We're going with the Elks, okay? The Elks, yes, the Elks. I'm calling them the Elks. We're going.
I didn't do it last week. I stayed away. They didn't cover. I stayed away. Discipline. Now it's a team they can beat.
Let's go. We're going to Edmonton. We're back in Edmonton here. The team total over 25.5, full unit there. Going with the Edmonton 2.5. Half a unit right now, Mike. And if it's Dustin Crum, we're elevating that to the money line. If it's Drew Brown, we're going to play the points.
No, sorry. If it's Drew Brown, the over.
The over on the points.
The over, yeah. If it's Dustin Crum, I'll make it a full unit on either the spread or the money line, depending on how much it moves.
Yeah.
And while you're doing that, I didn't say it earlier. I wanted to save it to the end. But the best bet, obviously, is Hamilton money line, and it's not a 1-unit bet. It's the first 2-unit bet of the season. Ticats money line. This is a great spot in my opinion. Oshki wee wee.
Oh.
The first 2-unit bets. Last year, I think I had 1 or 2. They both cashed. The one I think was more of a sweat. The other one was no doubter. So hopefully this is a. Yeah. I mean, I'm at the game. Maybe Argo's gonna be a little bit of a sweat, but I wouldn't mind an easy one.
Listen. If Hamilton loses this one, the drinks will be on me. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The drinks are on you. If Hamilton wins, I'm by the first round.
We're having a good time. Yeah.
Especially if the unders it too. Like if it's like 10-0 Hamilton a half, or a little bit 17-0, something like that a half. It's yeah.
Then we're proven to the beast and meeting a couple of people at the bistro if that's the case.
Exactly.
We'll see. All right, man. Listen, it's another great show, another great set of bets. I'll be tweeting out the card that we're going with. We're 8-10 on the season. We're half a unit away. We started off a little rough, but last few weeks we've been turning it around. We're coming there 3-1 on the best bets.
I think only week 1.
It's the rough one, yeah.
Week 1 was rough. Week 2 was a push.
Yeah, and then
this is week 5, right? Week 2 and 3 were basically. But I don't even think I lost juice on those weeks. That we hit the little prop.
We only lost juice
and
week
then,
1.
Yeah, week 1 we lost, and then last week was a winning week, even though the best bet lost.
That's right.
So yeah, so we're back on track almost. We need some Ticats here.
Yeah, Ticats will help us. Edmonton will help us. And we'll
Calgary. We get some Calgary.
Hey, recover. Yeah, exactly. We get the Calgary. It'll make the under team total. Under team wins a little less damning if we lose that.
Yeah, I've almost chalked it up, but there's still. I'm not sold yet that it's dead. It's not dead yet. The Montreal under I think is dead, but the Calgary under I haven't chalked it up to an L yet.
Yeah, I mean, look, if we're looking at parallels from last season, Calgary was also in it until midway, and then
they're a little bit better for sure than what I thought. Definitely better than what I thought. How much better we'll see.
Yeah, they still got to face talent too, right?
Yeah,
they're
at home. They haven't. I know they lost to Ottawa at home, but that's not like a big deal. But when the Stampede's in town, it's a little bit of a bigger deal.
Yeah, so. This is an event. So if you had to watch, obviously aside from the Hamilton Toronto game, which I think CFL did a great job slotting it in the Friday evening. So
I think all these games are going to be outside of BC Montreal. But if it's Rourke, that game's going to be that game might be interesting. Right. If it's one of the other ones, one of the other quarterbacks, But I think the other 3 games are fun. Like we're gonna the Hamilton game might be like there's a world where Toronto doesn't score at all.
Well, it's fun for a certain fan base.
We'll see. I never know. Toronto could surprise me. I've been wrong before. Won't be the first time.
Yeah, we'll see. It's gonna be a great time. All right, Pieguy. We're over the 1 hour mark here. Trying to keep
I gotta get
shorter. But we gotta wrap up here. Let's see how we do, man. It's week 5 of the CFL. It's past the Canada Day weekend. We're kind of a third of the season done. No, not a third. Not yet. Well, almost there.
Almost a third.
We're starting to see trends. We're these just watch the CFL folks, okay? Listen, they're collaborating with Drake, okay? They're big time football.
Big time football.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.